mid-league stream, where we are continuing on our coverage here in week number 9. Divine Ascension Obsidian getting taken down in surprisingly quick fashion. Necrox there in game number 1. Shadowblade Slash, they found the gas on their team composition car and just absolutely blazed to the finish after turning around what was a quick Baron call. Divine Ascension Obsidian unable to make that objective call work here. Now getting into game number 2, the draft has already begun, and the Annie from last game, Necrox, getting taken off the board.
Yeah, this just in, Nocturne, Annie, Diana, yeah, they one-shot you, and if you allow them to group up and force a full-on 5v5, if you're not ready for it, it begins to hurt, and it begins to hurt quickly. So not surprised Annie's taken away, especially if it can be flexed between mid and AD, which I don't think anyone was expecting. But SBS, they don't need it. They go straight back to the Nocturne Leona. This duo has an insane engages in game 1. Shen, really, really rough into Nocturne right off the bat. DAO going to struggle to use the Sand United when the lights are turned off. You can't click on your teammates. And exactly. It just becomes a nightmare. No pun intended. Grog is going to be picked up as well. Can do a little bit of work into the engage, but certainly isn't something I would expect into the likes of a Leona.
See, Necrox, this is exactly why I'm so happy that the stream can now hear you again. Great points to open up the draft here. Metapod's Manatee actually going back to the Leona, as you mentioned from last game, an absolute doozy of an engaged duo. His first win on the Leona, now 1-7, looking to make it a pair here. Up against Divine Ascension Obsidian in a draft kind of switch up here, a draft adaptation, if you will, coming through for Divine Ascension Obsidian, putting Void on much more of a carry champion here on the Corki. Yeah, and the only thing that I don't like is that you're now giving double solo lane counterpick. Even if the Nocturne is going top, you've already seen the Shen, so you're already getting yourself double solo lane counterpicked. You now have to worry about your bot lane and your bot lane alone to see if you can get something done down there. Leona already locked in, so you're going to get support counterpick if you want it. Corki is a pretty strong champion in the right hands, can really start to mess up a team fight. If you are a lot of short range champions, that package certainly can burn for a lot. Swain picked up is pretty interesting to me. Could go ADC, most probably gonna find itself something like the mid lane, but into Corki can Valkyrie away from the Nevermove, does have a little bit of safety. And yeah, this is just spot lane bans on bot lane bans for Shadowblade Slash. Not that the AD carry is the only one left that you have to worry about. Just go ahead and ban that one out. I'll try to really begin to pinch the pool and stress out on comfort. You know, it's not Macro Beast in the bot lane there rocking the mages. It will be interesting to see if Cornbread can pull it off. I'm actually going to go ahead and double check to see if he has picked that one up before. But looking at some of the bans coming in here, the Karma Police and Risky, they had themselves a pretty good bot lane outing. I think they're in game number 1. Risky especially on the Kai'Sa around that. I believe it was the second dragon fight, absolutely popping off when given the space to, but I'm worried. Once again, Necrox, he's facing a lot of one-shot potential against a Shadowblade Slash composition that has so much access to the backline.
Yeah, and it just got even worse with the Tristana. Now you have to worry about Tristana, Leona in the bot lane, Zenith Blade. All of it just starts to pile on top. And again, Shadowblade Slash just drafting easy execution. It's CLG in mid league. Press R, win the game. It doesn't require a lot of brain to think about it. Nocturne, though, still waiting to see where that one is headed. Could be a jungle potential here, but so we'll have to worry about that one as it comes through. And yeah, now DAO realize, because they're playing into the full-on engage comp, they're like, okay, how do we get out of this disaster? How do we get out of the initial engage? Ezreal is a great champion to do that. Arcane Shift provides a lot of safety. Frozen Heart now, pretty popular on him as well, can slow down the attack speed of someone like the Tristana if she does jump in and start autoing that back line. Morgana would provide safety from the Leona, and they're going to pick it up. So Morgana, Ezreal in the bot lane, Corki mid, Gragas jungle, and Shen top. Lots of disengage for DAO. We've already had this narrative, Mac, and we know how it turns out.
Especially when Divine Ascension Obsidian, they get a little cocky, honestly, in the game. They start feeling like they can make aggressive calls, and it was Shadowblade Slash who was able to completely turn it around, complete rug swept under their feet around that objective. And once again, the Diana getting picked up here for Meteor Toast, who had a great game there in game one. Did lose the first two dragons, but hey, turned it around with getting a lot of picks. They have the kind of, oh gosh, what do we call it? Gunjin and Cam had a pretty good term for it, but the duo of between Metapods, Manatee, and Meteor Toast in the jungle there. They were roaming around like crazy and getting pick after pick to keep Shadowblade Slash in the game.
Yeah, and I think it's a similar lineup here for Shadowblade Slash. You now have a Swain who isn't as hard engaged, but he's still going to want to sit in the middle of your team and drain tank anyway. Nocturne, Leona, Tristana, Diana, all these are very, very comfortable for Shadowblade Slash. It is very easy to execute on. Honestly, the only thing that I'm looking to change this game is how DAO play it out. They are the ones that need to be at objectives first. I cannot stress this enough. There is no way in hell you can walk in DAO if Shadowblade are already set up. What do you have? You have a package. You're probably just going to get insta-CC'd if you're not quick on it. Maybe a Black Shield can buy a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But an Ezreal, Gragas aren't going to be able to buy space for you, so please get to objectives first. Vision is going to be so important, so you're not getting death brushed by the Diana, by the Leona, or Nocturne. If you can make these objectives work for you, I think they can win, but it's going to be really cumbersome on this Morgana to deny the initial engage and find a way to get back into the fight after it's already broke out.
Exactly, and I think it's going to be even more important for Divine Ascension Obsidian to not lose any of the steam that they had to start in game number 2 here. In game number 1, we did see that come back to bite them around that Baron call that we've talked about quite a bit here on the Analyst X Netcrocs, but it was the big turning point of game 1, and we're going to have to see here in game 2 if this Obsidian squad is going to be able to learn from their mistakes and come in, not lose their mental here for the rest of this series. It is the final week, the final show match. It's all going to come down to this, and they can't lose their momentum. Not here, not now, not just yet.
Yeah, and stakes are high, and when stakes are high, mentals are high, and tensions are high as well. So, Divine Ascension Obsidian, you have a scaling composition, you have the Ezreal, you have the Corki, 2 incredibly strong late game threats. If you just don't overcommit to a call like you did last game on Baron, where you're just for some reason 5-man strong in a Baron that doesn't belong to you, you can absolutely win this game. You just need to play patient. If you're not getting 2v2 in the bot lane, if you're not losing out on topside skirmishes, having your Garen just sort of like walk around freely, things can look much better. This time, there's a Shen there, so much better for team presence. Of course, we've already talked about the interaction with Paranoia, but if you are able to get a Stand United off, that completely turns around a fight. And if in any fight, Shadowblade Slash aren't ready for the Shen ulti, if you take one lead, DAO could really start to put on the hurt. If this Ezreal gets ahead, man, Sunder is nerfed, but it doesn't feel like it. I swear to God, every single Mystic shot that hits chunks, and it chunks hard. So I think DAO have potential to win this game, but they just need to play with your brains and play with your eyes. Make sure you're aware of what's going on in the Rift.
Exactly. Keep an eye on those objective timers. What are you doing? Hopefully we're not going to be asking that question at the end of the game. He's going to have to take a different approach here in game 2, not the solo lane focused Garen style, but it's got to be a proactive Shen that doesn't get shut out by Cornbread, because just like we saw in game 1, he can ultimate, then TP, then make a big impact in the fight, all while leaving what are you doing up in the top lane wondering, man, I should have saved that TP for a big fight.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to take a pull back here and start to look at the players themselves and what they've been able to accomplish throughout the season, because it's a pretty similar lineup, honestly, to game 1. The biggest thing is DAO just need to play with intellect in game 2. And I mean that with all due respect, but players like Risky, he popped off in some of those team fights.
Yeah.
When he got out of the initial engage with some slick moves with the Killer Instinct, now he has a Killer Instinct on like an 8-second cooldown late game. That Arcane Shift is so damn valuable. If he is able to get out of the engage, if he can really put on the pressure with these long range shots, I expect Risky to be able to carry this game. Void as well in the mid lane. Again, you know these players better than me, but I think these two have the potential to carry. Yeah. I assume they've been able to do it in the past. They're obviously not at the bottom of the table for a reason, but I would like to see DAO with this mid AD duo really start to carry in game 2 and maybe even in game 3.
Yeah, and I think especially looking at the Karma Police coming in for the Divine Ascension Obsidian roster kind of late here, looking to try to help push them into the playoff picture on something a little easier to execute with this Morgana versus the set in game 1. Certainly going to be another very exciting game number 2 here, as we were kind of watching the game unfold. Necrox, what was it, about 30 kills in only 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, Gunjan was struggling to get some analysis in on that one. He was trying his damnedest to give us some sort of breakdown, but yeah. If you are looking for analysis this game, Gunjan, my eyes are straight on this mid AD. If Void and Risky are able to avoid the initial engage, it's all on them. For Shadowblade Slash, you're looking at the top side of the map once again. Bird King Meteor Toast had some amazing engages last game. That Paranoia was quick as a trigger. And if Shadowblade Slash are ready for it, they'll be able to take fights at a moment's notice.
Absolutely. Are they going to be able to rinse and repeat their success on the Rift here for the final show match? Or is Divine Ascension Obsidian going to turn things around? Questions to be answered on the Rift. Cam and Gunjan ready and waiting for the start of game number 2. The compositions are set. Don't click away from that browser. Game number 2 going to be starting up in the Excellency Esports stream in just a bit.
Welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 tonight. This game, we have Divine Ascension Obsidian on the blue side. Shadowblade Slash, currently 1 win up in this series, will be on red, and they are looking for a level 1 invade. We did not have a break of fighting Game 1, and I'm expecting it to be the same way Game 2.
Too specific. Oh, I am deafened.
You're not an OBS.
Ah, yes.
My co-caster is no longer in the OBS room, so he has.
I believe I'm back. Fantastic. I've been running into technical issues all day, but it does not matter because the cast must go on. But talking about these early games and talking about kind of these comps, I think that they're doing the swap again, Cam, as they're going to be setting Cornbread mid lane with Void Rifter and Metapods into this bot lane position. What do you think about that?
Donna mid, definitely one of, if not the most annoying mid laners, next to Lucian, of course, which we didn't get to see game 1, so absolutely loving this champ pool from Cornbread. And then Swain bot lane, you dodge a Z or you die. That's about how that lane goes, especially with Metapods on that Leona. You land any one of those CC abilities on the Risky or Karma Police, and there's gonna be a lot of kills going down in this bot lane.
And I love the switch up from SBS doing this swapping of the lanes, because this was something that they were kind of criticized for, because when Void Rifter isn't on that Malzahar pick, he had struggled in lane pretty heavily in terms of kind of roaming over to plays, making stuff happen. So now with the swap, sending the mages into the bot lane with Void Rifter down there, it makes so he's kind of forgoed through the laning phase, and he can have a lot more power, especially in those mid-game team fights on these mages like the Swain and the Annie. So I love the pick of Void Drifter into the bot lane, and I also like the pick of Bird King again, piloting this Nocturne pick. I call Nocturne the Great Blanket because he does a lot in terms of blanketing everything from vision control. He blankets picks like Shen and TF, because when Nocturne ultis, it's actually impossible for Shen or TF to ulti. I believe they have like a split second before their ultis are pretty much just cut off. So I love the pick. I love that it's a good counter into the Shen pick as well. And I love that it kind of makes it so, especially when you don't have good vision control, or if the enemy has established good vision control, they don't have that anymore because of the Nocturne. But oh my god, so much fighting in the top lane.
We are still going on at full force. We never stop fighting here. And what are you doing? Already having a burner slash there on his Shen. And I may be wrong here, but I do believe Shen can actually still ult through Nocturnal if he clicks the champion portrait on the right. It just is a lot harder because you're completely guessing where they are and how much health they're at. And now Metapods, he is gonna find that E onto Risky. Now forced to flash away though. His saturation is here for the counter gank. Used to force his ignite out as well. Could look for the turn to saturation, chasing almost underneath the tower. One tower shot may have just killed him, and that's just going to be 2 flashes burned for nothing happening bot lane.
And it feels like the same repeat of kind of jungle pathing and jungle advantages because, again, Saturation is claiming this bot side of the map while Meteor Toast in the top side, but he's just going to repeat.
Did a loop-de-loop, he's coming right back down. Healing. Metapods finds the first blood for himself, looking to turn it back on the Risky, but not enough damage. Risky picking himself up a kill. Void Rifter, no mana, has the flash available if he wants to try and keep it. Lands the E under the tower to Risky, forcing out his phone flash, and Void not even using his own.
And it felt like greed from both sides there because, again, Meteor Toast or Metapods and Void Rifter should have known that Saturation with the camp he had set up in game number 1, he loves camping this bot lane, so they should have played a little bit more safe, and Void Rifter definitely should have flashed out from those 2 in the bot lane. But again, they felt like they could just execute the play and didn't have to spend summoners like the Exhaust immediately, but Void Rifter and Metapods completely punished that, and the top side, again, repeat gank from Meteor Toast.
Yeah, that is both flashes coming out as well. Bird King is gonna find that easy kill down onto What Are You Doing? That is still only the first kill on top side. First kill of potentially many.
Definitely first kill of many, and if I'm the coach for both of these teams, I'm telling Water and I'm telling Cornbread and Metapods, or I'm telling Void Rifter and Metapods, don't walk past your tower because you are going to get so much jungle pressure because, again, in these split map scenarios, so much vision control is set up for both junglers that there's no way that Saturation can get a gank off onto this Nocturne unless it's super forced. And for the side of Meteor Toast, there's no way he can really get a gank off in this bot lane because of all the vision control they've established. So with these split map scenarios, both the top and the bot side are weak sides for SBS and DAO, and they're getting punished respectively for whenever they overstep. I'm excited to see how this game does progress because, again, we do have the Ocean Dragon early, so it is an objective that can be set up for as we see Saturation walking down to the objective at the moment.
Yeah, it's not one of those early, you could say, Cloud Dragons being most likely the worst first dragon in the game, as you don't even ultimates usually when you even take it. With this Ocean Dragon could definitely mean for even more early fighting, as if we didn't have enough of Saturation. He's sitting in that bush, but like you're saying, Void Rifter Metapods, as long as they're not walking out past that wall, they should be perfectly fine. Don't need to be forcing anything here in the bot lane, as they do find the E down on the Karma Police, forcing out his flash immediately, and Metapods so tanky, just taking everything from Saturation. Amazing dodge there for Metapods. Now they're trying to turn this back around. Cornbread and Void teleporting in. We are continuing this fight for as long as we can. Stand united.
5 minutes up.
Everyone having a party in the bot lane. Team
What?
from Paranoia. Bird King finds the first kill down onto Risky. Flash. Three-man ult. Meteor Toast double kill down for Bird King. We just are not gonna stop fighting here in this bot lane. 5v5 before anyone is even level 6 on the map.
What is happening? Both teams just opt for the 5v5 down bot lane, and the level 6 marks. You can see Meteor Toast was already level 6 on the Diana to Saturation's level 4, and that was the big make or break of that team fight. The ultimates were there for the side of SBS. They punished the overcommit on the side of DAO. They pick up the 3 kills. They pick up the dragon as well, and SBS is off to a massive early game lead.
Yeah, 2,000 gold at just 7 minutes. Definitely huge, having 3 kills on Bird King from a bot lane play. Definitely not what we were expecting whatsoever. Is now, What Are You Doing? Not gonna be able to do anything here in this top lane. He's going in for a 1v1 against Bird King, but you can just see how much damage Bird King does, and he barely even takes any. But I mean, too soon. That is a caster curse and a half right there. Shut down, going down to What Are You Doing?
I think you cursed Bird King. I think that was just
so hard.
definitely some bravado there. He tanked it felt like 50 minions, and he was also just not spell shielding any actual abilities from the side of water, and Bird Kings gets incredibly punished and gives over that 400 gold shutdown, and now this gold lead is a little bit less as Bird King makes a pretty massive misplay on the top side. But back to kind of the state of the game again, advantage to the side of SBS because their bot lane, which is kind of their weak point, where again Void Rifters doesn't have too much lane pressure, but in these big team fights, especially around that second dragon mark or that third dragon mark, when Swain can get those items like the Leandries and the Demonic Embrace, he's going to be so incredibly strong. So when you can kind of forego the lane state and just kind of scale up in this bot lane position, advantage to the side of SBS as we see DAO taking this early Rift Herald objective by rotating Karma Police up to the top side.
Yeah, nice to see Divine Ascension there, taking that first Rift Herald as they did lose that first dragon of the game. So having it in total just 1-for-1 in objectives, despite, yes, they are still down 1,000 gold, definitely less than the initial 2,000 gold, but still do need to be dropping that Rift Herald before the 14-minute mark and getting those plates onto one of their carries, whether it is Void on that Corki, who is currently sitting on 1 kill, or even Risky down in the bot lane sitting on 2 kills, could definitely be pretty big as we have another trade going on there in the mid lane, but nothing really happening as they're both just so mobile. They can run and they can run out whenever they want.
And the member I really want to call out from the side of Divine Ascension Obsidian is Saturation. The style of play that he does in the jungle role, which is so kind of about just camping one lane and making sure these ganks happen. When those ganks don't end up happening, or when they get kind of counter ganked, it becomes a really big problem because you can see the differential between Saturation and Meteor Toast. Meteor Toast is 2 levels ahead, he's 30 CS ahead, and he's absolutely gapping Saturation because when those ganks don't happen, when those kind of forced bot lane plays don't end up going well, then the other enemy jungler is just constantly cycling camps efficiently, and he's just getting so far ahead, and he's always there to make those big plays around objectives or around big TP situations. So it feels like at the moment, Saturation, his playstyle, which is so like high risk, high reward, this is one of those coin flip situations where it's low, it landed tails, and now Saturation is incredibly far behind as he's about to get solo killed.
He's gonna get solo killed, but then Stand United comes in, isn't even cancelled, and that leaves Saturation just flashless, but with his life as Cornbread. He's taken so much gold out in this mid lane, and that's not even with the help of a Herald. That is just the power of Tristana autoing a tower.
But the best thing about that is, again, Saturation obviously has to utilize the Shen ultimate. He calls for Karma Police to come up, but Meteor Toast, all he had to do is just waste his ultimate. He goes back into his jungle. He's just kind of efficiently farming his camps up, and he's getting further and further ahead. This dynamic could become such a big issue, especially around that second objective mark of this Cloud Dragon happening in 1:15.
Cloud Dragon is going to be huge for Bird King and Meteor Toast if they are able to find it. Both of them definitely being very fed. Meteor Toast is sitting on a Dark Seal, currently stackless Dark Seal, as you are expecting this Diana to definitely be picking up some kills in this next fight if it goes anywhere as near as well as the level 5 bot lane that 5v5 did. So like you're saying, 45 seconds until most likely our next big fight around the second Cloud Dragon.
And if you're the side of DAO, you can kind of give up this second Cloud Dragon. It's not something you have to fight for because you are trying to get your 2 Muramana 80 carries online. Both Void and Risky are getting close to that point. Void should be hitting his first item of the Shield Bow in about 2 minutes. Same with Risky hitting his Triforce in about 2 minutes. So both 80 carries are close to their first items. They are close to stacking up that tier to max stacks. So if you are the side of DAO, you can give up this Cloud Dragon and just say, we'll fight at third when we do have the items. They don't need to kind of run it in and look for anything too risky, because right now, SBS is completely, is a lot stronger because they have a lot of their items on their key carries, with Bird King having that Stride Breaker and Meteor Toast being so far ahead that he's going to be able to one-shot anybody that really walks up. So if you're not a DAO, just let this Cloud Dragon go, say we'll contest at third when we have items on both of our 80 carries, and just let the game kind of play out until then.
That was Definitely a very nice steal attempt, and they were able to pick up quite a few plates onto Risky as well in the bot lane with the help of that Rift Herald. So like you're saying, they do need to give up that second dragon, but they were able to find almost a steal from Risky's ultimate, and definitely nice having 3 plates, almost solo plates as well to Risky, as now we get another 1v1 going down in the top plate, but I'm not going to speak too soon, as what are you doing is CC down for the entirety of his lifespan, and that is about what I expected from the first one, but Bird King is able to finally pick up his own solo kill there in the top lane.
Yeah, and I don't understand. Oh, bot lane. Yeah, that was incredibly close, but Meteor Toast is here to try and make something happen, but...
Oh no, Risky walked into it, man. That's so unfortunate. Void Rifter able to pick the one up. Most likely didn't even need Meteor Toast there, as he's playing support Diana at this point. He finally got a stack on his Dark Seal. Unfortunately, it is not a kill for 2 stacks.
And it feels like, again, kind of the game plan that I'm setting out, it's not getting through to DAO's ears, because all they have to do is play safe. All they have to do is just kind of hold the line, wait for their items to come through, but they keep looking for the 2v2 onto Void Rifter and Metapods, and they get punished with Meteor Toast being in that situation. The top lane tower is picked up for the side of Bird King, and now with the map kind of opening up, it gets scarier and scarier, because right now you already see that Bird King can 1v1 water in the side lane. Void, when he goes into the side lane, will be kind of targeted with the Metapods and Meteor Roam squad, and so if this 1-3-1 situation does end up shaking out, when the lanes kind of allocate into those side lane situations, it's going to be scary for the side of DAO, as they have kind of built another ball comp with maybe a stronger front line with the Shed instead of the Garen from game number 1.
Yeah, has a lot more roam potential than the Garen, especially since he did also take TP on top of his ultimate. So wherever he goes, he is going to be there very quickly, as we do finally have that mid lane tower falling for Cornbread, but he is caught out here as Void and Saturation are here. Saturation committing his flash, but Cornbread almost able to jump out. Stand United coming down as well, just to make sure Void is able to walk that one out smoothly.
They pick up the kill mid lane, but they lose the mid lane outer tower at 15 minutes. So advantage to the side of SBS, as now with this map kind of opening up a lot more, it gets scarier and scarier, because this Nocturne is such a big power pick, and they are going to have to concede the second Rift Herald spawning at 15 minutes for the side of SBS, as they're going to attack the bot lane instead.
Find this kill onto Void Rifter, bringing down 4 people to the bot lane. They really want this pick, as they are trying to take down this tower. Void Rifter already burning his ultimate. Bird King TPing down as well with this paranoia, finally finding that pick down onto Void from Void Rifter, as Bird King is going to be hit by that Morgana binding, but nothing really much coming of it, as Cornbread is going to jump in and find nothing from it.
And if you're the side of DAO, again, forcing plays like this when you should be timing that the enemy's top lane and their mid lane TPs are up.
Oh no, Bird King, you might have stepped up a little bit too far, forced to flash away Void Rifter as well, using that heal for himself as well, but the shutdown will go down to Karma Police, as they are losing their mid lane towers. This is the second tower.
They might lose the inhibitor.
The inhibitor as well. Divine Ascension Obsidian, yes, you found 2 kills in the bot lane, but what are you losing for mid lane?
Close Shen taunt by water, but the mid lane inhibitor tower is going to survive with a fraction of its HP, as SBS, again, they try to attack that bot lane with Saturation staying down bot, looking for something onto Cornbread, but they lose mid lane inner and they lose mid lane outer, so gold lead is still favored to the side of SBS, and with the mid lane being broken so open, Bird King now is this is kind of the perfect situation for a Nocturne, for that gank style heavy of Meteor Toast and Metapods on this Diana and Leona respectively, because they have so much more open space to really just sit in these bushes, look for vision place, and really control and kind of play this guerrilla style comp that they've played from game number 1, now transitioning into game number 2.
A Meteor Toast, he doesn't look that big on the Diana right now with a very supportive KDA, but he is tying basically both of the mid laners currently for most deaths in the game, and as a jungler, that is very impressive, as he is only sitting on 1.5 items right now. Before this third dragon for his team for Shadowblade Slash. Divine Ascension Obsidian is actually the ones holding the control over this bot lane river as it is. Nocturne splitting mid. He gets that wave shoved in, so now it is Divine Ascension Obsidian. They are on a timer here. They need to pick up that mid wave before it does take down their inhibitor. And what are you doing? Gonna find the engage onto Meteor Toast. Meteor Toast wants to go for the steal. Bird King dropping the paranoia. Finds nothing for it though. Saturation going into the backline finds nothing as Stand United being channeled in the middle of the team fight. Not gonna do anything. Everybody going down, and that is the clean ace 5 for 1, as well as the third dragon for Shadowblade Slash.
Cam, I wish you could see the look on my face because it's just kind of a look of confusion, a look of, I guess this is happening because they go for it. They had the Corki package. They felt like maybe we can get something done here, but the strength of the team fight from the side of SBS is way too strong. The Swain ulti was just kind of slowly cutting through every member that tried to walk up. They couldn't land the CC onto Meteor Toast. He was able to get in there, and damage from Cornbread is so immense because he's sitting there free hitting every single member that walks into those fights. And if you're the side of DAO, your comp is not built around initiating, it's built around counter engage and kiting the enemy team. But that's not what you get when you have to walk into a dragon pit, when you have to walk into a situation where you have to try and contest this third dragon, and they fall incredibly far behind because not only do they lose the dragon, they also give up 5 kills for 1 kill, thankfully, that they picked up onto Bird King. As bot lane, Diana should just be able to get out.
A lot of mobility. She has enough mana as well as the stopwatch available. So yes, she did already have to use her rocket belt. And what are you doing? Could definitely be on the flank here. We will be forcing that flash up from Meteor Toast, but unfortunately will miss the taunt, and there is not enough damage, not enough CC to pick up that 150 shutdown, which doesn't seem a whole lot, but again, such a supported Diana right now lands that CC, does not really do the damage that her team even needs, as the rest of her team picks up the kills, and they're the ones that are absolutely huge in this game.
But you're using abilities like the TP to try and make something happen, and it feels just desperation for the side of DAO because they need to get something done, because not only are they so far behind, now in 3 minutes time they're gonna have to contest that Infernal Soul objective. So right now something has to happen.
Cornbread, he takes the flash out from Saturation, but that's a nice cancel there with the use of his ultimate. It does look like with the use of double blast cones as well, he will be able to walk that one out, but now Karma Police walking a little bit too far into the river, could have been caught out there. As what are you doing? Trying to clear this ward here all on his own. Meteor Toast wants that chase, not gonna find it with the blast code.
He's not going to find anything there, and with the mid lane already being open, you can see that Void is not even a part of the play. He's having to clear out the minions from taking that mid lane inhibitor. They have pretty much established full vision control around this Baron buff objective. They're just slowly kind of clearing up.
Void Rifter, he finds the insta one-shot down onto Saturation. Absolutely no hope to even try and walk out of that one. It's now risky, forced to flash away from the Leon ultimate, but Karma Police immediately pulled back into the rest of the jaws of Shadowblade Slash.
They're gonna be able to pick up the 2 kills, and now this is gonna turn for the Baron at 21 minutes. Shadowblade Slash are just so far ahead in terms of items, in terms of tempo, that they're gonna be able to get anything done around the map. They're gonna be able to pick up the Baron in a minute and a half. They're gonna be able to go and walk to that Infernal Drake objective as well, and it's so much advantage for the side of Shadowblade Slash that it feels almost doomed for the side of DAO. Again, they need to pick up 4 wins to try and make it into playoffs, with kind of the level of play that we're seeing here. It feels like it's almost doomed, and Shadowblade Slash will most likely pick up this game number 2 as they kind of go into game number 3 with such a kind of mental advantage.
Slash is sitting up a massive 10,000 gold lead over Divine Ascension Obsidian. They need to make this miracle run. They need to make what would now be a 5-1 in the next 2 days with their rescheduled games tomorrow. And currently, it's looking real rough. Karma Police with that nice black shield can walk out of that warding spot safely. But like we see there is just nowhere for Divine Ascension Obsidian to even walk on this map. You can't walk up past this river. You don't have enough vision. You don't have enough control. You don't even have any towers left remaining in your mid lane. You only have an inhibitor stopping the rest of Shadowblade Slash from taking your Nexus towers.
Yeah, and Shadowblade Slash just has all control. They're able to kind of play the 1-3-1 as well, as they have Cornbread on the top side with Bird King on the bot side, just kind of opening up more and more space for the side of SBS, as this Infernal Drake objective is going to be spawning in 27 seconds. Cornbread does have the TP, so he's going to be able to join and make sure that he's available for the fight. Again, DAO are slowly walking over, trying to contest the objective. They do have the Quirky package, so it is going to be a big cooldown that is up for this Infernal Drake contest, but with the advantage with the items that are there for the side of SBS, with the 2 items on the Swain, with the 2 items on the Nocturne as well, it's just going to be so incredibly hard to do anything, but they're going to have to go for it. They're going to have to go for a Hail Mary play right here, because top lane, they're just losing inhibitors.
Yeah. Breaker, imagine how fast that these inhibitors would be taken, as they're losing their top inhibitor, already gone. Cornbread looking for that mid inhibitor as well, while Divine Ascension Obsidian, all they're looking for is this one Infernal Dragon. Metapons is not going to be able to go forward anymore. Void Rifter not doing enough damage as Bird King finds that first kill down. What are you doing? Trying to use that standing item to get out, but unfortunately, C-Seed immediately will fall as the Nexus Tower is going down. TP coming in from Bird King, flash over the wall from Meteor Toast, as well as Shadowblade Slash looking to end game 2, looking to find this 2-0 over Divine Ascension Obsidian, demolishing their hopes for a miracle run in this game 2.
Yeah, Shadowblade Slash pick up the game number 2 versus Divine Ascension Obsidian, and you could see in that last team fight, they'd never had to be too aggressive. They never have to pull the trigger and call Cornbread, because for the side of DAO, that's just one dragon. They could just kind of say, we're not even gonna try and contest. We're just gonna let Cornbread sit up top, break every single objective up there. They pick up they don't end up picking up the dragon, but they pick up the entire base. And again, Shadowblade Slash playing an incredibly dominant game number 2. But to break down game number 2 a little bit more and give us some more insight, we're going to turn it over to Mac, and Necrox. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, Gunjin. Wow, what a second game here. Shadowblade Slash Necrox able to rinse and repeat their success here, bringing a very similar composition to the table here in game 2, as they did in game number 1, and once again, they make it work.
And they make it work in a 4v5 at the end of the game. Tristana is hitting your base. TP comes in. They try to assist, at least try to win the fight to contest Soul. And instead, everyone just gets wiped. The game is over. If you win a 4v5 at Dragon, I mean, how could you possibly lose the game? I think Shadowblade Slash just have this series, unless there's something we haven't seen yet from DAO. But man, Shadowblade Slash on it a time and time again, and they're just more proactive. They're more willing to pull the trigger. That's the draft they've designed for themselves, and they're executing on it perfectly.
And we've got to expect some kind of switch-ups here going into the final game, potentially the final game of the season for certainly Shadowblade Slash, of course. Excuse me, Divine Ascension Obsidian. They have their odd show match with Elventus that they haven't played yet. I wonder if they might just skip it, because I think both teams might be close to being out of playoff contention. So we'll see. Potential last game of this season for both of these squads. This is their final chance to play on stream, at least for mid-league. If they're not coming back next season, we'll have to see. But regardless, a lot left, I think, in the show match. Necrox, our Divine Ascension Obsidian, going to bring out something we really haven't seen before out of them, at least in this series? Or are they once again going to let Shadowblade Slash just kind of get the composition that they've dreamed of?
Yeah, it needs to be something, right? Whether it is an engaged composition for themselves or better disengage, but yeah, maybe it just comes down to draft, right? Like, you have to take away the Nocturne, possibly, maybe even the Leona, because these champions are just rinsing them over. And even the Diana in the jungle, that like 4-man TP bot lane, with one of them being a Stand United from top. Yeah. It's back and forth. His fight is going back and forth between turrets. And then Meteor Toast just decides, hey, I've had enough of this. Goes in, massive moonfall, 3 members, maybe even 4, but at least 3 of them took damage from it. Ended up just completely turning around the fight. The engage is just too clean. And Shadowblade Slash are that kind of team. It is very easy to execute. Divine Ascension Obsidian, you could see what they had drafted for themselves. It was disengage with the Gragas cask. It was trying to get away with a Morgana Black Shield, but cooldowns aren't in the right places, and I don't think the heads are either for DAO because things are getting rough.
Things are indeed getting rough this time around. Not even in a position to start that Baron and look for a quick scoop up of Mr. Nasher. No, it was top to bottom domination here for Shadowblade / dominating every lane and just showing how well they can manage objective fights and I think team fights as a whole. As you mentioned, we saw that last fight. It was a 4v5. Cornbread in the top lane, who's been looking pretty darn good in the mid lane for this series, funny enough. He's just left there up to his own devices. In Divine Ascension Obsidian, they go freeze mode. They go, what? We're trying to deal with this split push in Tristana with Baron buff. We have an Infernal Soul that we have to worry about. And once again, I think the overwhelming favor, everything going the way of Shadowblade / just too tough to deal with. And I think we're kind of looking here in Game 3 for Divine Ascension to really switch things up and push themselves in this series.
Yeah, and for DAO, the switch needs to come in draft and in game. Not only do you need some sort of proactivity, I feel like, going into Game 3, you need to draft champions that can make aggressive plays on their own, because Saturation is trying, right? He is like repeat ganking on repeat ganking. And if you can get some aggressive jungler, if you can get some aggressive playmakers outside of that, it can start to turn the tides of the game earlier on. And then in game, Saturation is making the plays happen. He's really going for it, but it's just Morgana bindings going slightly wide, Ezreal walking into the never move from Swain. These tiny things matter in these early game fights and in late game team fights. And if you're not executing perfectly, Shadowblade / obviously are going to punish. They're going to bring every member down that they need to, and they will win. But I'm hoping that things are going to be different. Honestly, my eyes for the likes of DAO are on the mid lane. I think Void can and could have done a lot more last game. The package being available at critical timings just fell short. It never found the use that at least I wanted it to. If the team can play around Void and get him the gold, I think personally he could really make a difference and at least pick up one win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if we're going to see kind of focus from Divine Ascension Obsidian to really set themselves up for success in the early game. We have seen Risky pull out picks like the Caitlyn, and at least then you maybe take some of the pressure off that Shadowblade / have been so good at applying in every single role across the board. Going back to that thought about Void not really being able to utilize the package fully in key fights, we were watching the game. What are you doing? Kind of questioning what exactly he's got going on. Burning the global cooldowns a minute and a half before the dragon objective to save, Saturation's life, but it's still not the ideal setup that they need to make these fights work, especially when Shadowblade / given the draft that they have, just know how to execute it and find constant success. Necrox, do you think in any world Shadowblade / are going to be able to run it back?
I mean, I think if they want to draft a full engage competition, there are enough champions in League of Legends to do that. But I don't see a reason why they would stop unless something goes AWOL in drafts, which hopefully we're headed to in just a minute. But before we get there, we do have some updates across the league. CB Rush, you were telling me you're watching their games on the side. Apparently, CB Rush, we're not having any of it. They're getting to playoff performance. They're getting into gear. 2-0 over No Fear Wolves. And what, you said 20-minute games?
Oh, yeah. CB Rush style. They're doing their best Glaive impression, I think, to finish off the season. Showing off, I mean, No Fear Wolves versus that CB Rush squad. There's an old Season 2 mid-league rivalry for you. So they're not slowing down because they 4-0'd No Fear Wolves during the regular season last year. And I think CB Rush are going into playoffs feeling confident that they're going to make it past the second round, past their bye, just like they had last year, into hopefully finals.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all to be Rush in top form. And then I think we actually have some really sad news for even the series we have on our hands right now. Divine Ascension Obsidian, their run is done. They have no more faith for playoffs, with Fever picking up, DGen picking up a win over Fever, as their series is 1-1 right now. Their miracle run is over. It doesn't matter how it turns out. It's a sad time. We can bring out the bagpipes now. Divine Ascension Obsidian, I hereby declare them dead.
Out of playoffs, but not out of the stream just yet.
Not out of my heart.
Never. Not even close. Always, eternally in our hearts here at Excellency on the stream. And thinking, hey, I wonder just how crazy of a game we might get with just kind of, okay, this is our chance to have fun, show the stream who we really are on the Rift. Divine Ascension Obsidian actually did make the playoffs last season under the Ruby banner, so sad to see them not competing once again in the playoffs. But some new faces, Necrox. The DGen's reformed storyline from Light League last season, the miraculous 6th seed once again might be trying to pull off a Cinderella story for the finals. They're 1-1 right now versus Fever, but